I'd say growing up, NFL was my number one choice. I played football. That was my passion. I absolutely loved it. I loved competing. I loved being on like the brotherhood of the teammates and all year round, you're training with people. And I played football in college. And I guess I didn't go to the NFL because I actually dislocated my shoulder really, really bad my sophomore year. So that ended the NFL dream. But finance was always also in me as well. And I think it started like there was a 3 or 4 moments in my life that made me realize that this is what I was born to do. This was what I was meant to do. This is where I belonged. Is when I was 8 years old, is like I said before, is we didn't have a lot of money growing up. When I was 8 years old, I got my first paper out. And you weren't supposed to get the paper out until you were, I think it was like 12 years old. But I begged the manager to let me do the paper out. So then I took my first money and it was like 20 bucks a month. I felt like I was King Midas. That's so much money for me. I could buy my own candy. I started buying my own clothes. I was buying food. It was like a beautiful thing. That's when I really first started realizing about money. When like I feel like the doors opened up of what's possible, right? Is I could actually get stuff and I could get yeses to stuff I wanted. I started to play sports because I could afford cleats and things like that. So it was very, very cool. So I became fascinated with what it could do and like the experiences it could create for me, right? Because now like all of a sudden I could experience sports, right? I could experience getting the team hat I wanted, right? Those things was really cool. So that happened, and then I was working every day since. There was no stopping. Then I got my first real job when I was 16 in Connecticut, and I was a dishwasher for Friendly's restaurant, Friendly's Ice Cream. And so I got that first paycheck, and that was the first time I realized that these things called taxes come out of your paycheck, right? So I thought I was gonna get like $60, and I ended up getting like $48. And I had to talk to my parents and my grandparents, what is this? And I'm working so hard and taking our money. And they say, welcome to the real world. And my grandfather started a stock club with his friends. And he said, hey, Jim, if you save half of every paycheck and invest it in our stock club, I'll teach you how to make money without having to go to work and without having to pay taxes. So at 16 years old, I was like, this sounds great. Let's do it. So I got really fascinated with like the concept of making money work for you. And I was in that stock club for about 10 years. That was fantastic. And then when I was in college, my major was financial economics. Um, and I had a teacher after my very first like paper I wrote. He came to me after and and I didn't get a great grade on the paper, which was interesting, but he came to me after and he said, Jim, you have a really knack for this. He's like, you should, this is really what you should major in. You should really go into this. I'd love to help you out a little bit. And I was like, well, of course, that sounds awesome. And then we had a field trip to the New York Stock Exchange. So that was really cool to see something like that. So those like three, I feel like defining moments where it just guided me and I don't even think it was a guiding. It was just a, hey Jim, this is where you belong. That's kind of what I felt like.